Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of the series in which we attempt to create the perfect watercolor travel palette. So just to recap a little bit, what we did in round 1 is that we swatched all the colors that we had in a certain order. So the first round was the primary, so these are the colors I'm sure I'm going to put in my palette. Then we had round 2, which were convenience and earth tones. So these ones are my favorites. These are colors that I'm pretty sure I'm going to put in my palette, although it could change. Round 3 was other convenience colors that I like as well, but that I wasn't sure if I would put them in my palette. And then round 4 was other colors that I had that I wanted to swatch that I don't think I'm going to put in my palette, but it could change. So what I want to do in this video is see if I can easily recreate these colors with the colors I'm sure I'm going to put in my palette. Let's see if I can easily recreate Tundra Blue with maybe Phthalo Blue and something else, or Identron Blue or whatever. Then I don't need to put this one in the palette. I'll have a recipe to create it so it frees one spot because I have limited amount of spots. Although with this palette, I have a lot of options. I can put either full pans or half pans. I can decide how many of each I want, so I could have more or less colors depending on my needs. So my idea for this video is to first of all select the colors I am sure, 100% sure I'm going to put in my palette. So these are going to be these ones. I want to write the pigment information for each color because maybe I'll find out that I have the exact colors to mix the other colors, or maybe I'm going to find out that I need to do some tests, some mixes to get something that is close enough. So we'll see. I'm just gonna put a dot next to the colors I'm sure I'm going to put in my palette. So I bought these, I have the cold tones and the warm tones for each primary. So these ones I'm sure I'm gonna put in. I had 2 buff titaniums that I know I want to put at least one of them in there, maybe 2, but I'm thinking maybe I can use Van Gogh buff titanium and add a little bit of tiger eye or something to get this one. So this is a test we're gonna do. So I'm not gonna put a dot here yet. Then for the rest, I know I want lunar black because it's really good to create granulating colors. So this one is a must. I think Potter's Pink also is a must. And like you have the classic earth tones like raw umber. I really like quinacridone sienna. This is a color I use a lot, so I don't think I should try to recreate it because I use it so much. I know it's very useful for me to have it already mixed. What else could we add? I really love quinacridone gold. I got it recently. I love it so much. I love green gold. I love cerulean. I've been using it a lot. I really like lunar earth too. It's a new color for me. And tiger eye, I've been using it a lot too. But we'll try to work on some mixes first and see. I'm thinking I put sap green in the round 3, but I think I should put it in because I use it a lot. I don't know what I was thinking. And this burnt yellow ochre is really nice too, but I think maybe I could get the same color with using some red oxide and Potter's Pink, or maybe I should just put it in. I think also I need a yellow ochre or this one, but maybe I can get a similar color with Quin Gold diluted a little bit. We'll see. Okay, now let's write the pigments for each of these colors. And we're gonna meet back here and do some mixes. Okay, I wrote down all of the pigment information that I had. Of course, when it's a genuine color by Daniel Smith, the information is not provided by the company. So you kind of just have to look at the color and see what mixes you could do. And when I had mixes that I thought I could create, I wrote them down here. So for example, let's take Schminckehoor Forest Blue, which is here. So I found out it's PB36, which is cerulean, which is the color that I have, and PBK11. So I have the two colors that I should be able to use to create this one. The only thing I know is I think that sometimes PB36 is treated a bit differently depending on the brand. So sometimes it's a bit more on the green side than the color that I have, which I think is what they used here, because you can see it's kind of it says forest blue, but it's more on the green side, I find. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first mix these two, but I might have to add a bit of yellow or something to introduce a green tone. But this is a mix that I thought I could do, and I have more. So for example, to create Daniel Smith Buff Titanium, I thought I could use Van Gogh Buff Titanium and use a little bit of Tiger Eye Genuine or a little bit of Raw Umber to go get that color. The only thing is that Van Gogh Buff Titanium is an opaque color and Daniel Smith Buff Titanium is semi-opaque. So you kind of lose the transparency when you use this one. So maybe because of that, I'm going to have to include these two in my palette. But for sure, I think I'm going to add this one because the color is so different. And this is a color that I use a lot. So maybe I can recreate this one and be satisfied with the mix I'm going to create. So I don't need to use this one. Or maybe I'm going to add it. Who knows? I can do whatever I want. So there are other mixes that I decided I would like to try. I want to try to recreate sap green with green gold and cerulean, or maybe green gold and phthalo blue green shade. Maybe if I find that it's too hard to recreate, or if it's just impossible, like for Potter's Pink, this is a single pigment, I think it would be hard to recreate it, then I'm gonna include it. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna work, I think, in order. So I'm gonna start with the top. I think I'm gonna start with the Daniel Smith Buff Titanium. When we're finished with our mixes, we'll have a clear idea of which color we include in the palette and which we don't. This is a sketchbook that I use to create mixes. So whenever I'm working on the painting and I want to decide on my colors or just do some tests, then I do it in here because after I have the recipes. So it's super useful, and sometimes I do practice paintings in here. I have not done it a lot. I did a couple of ugly abstracts in there too. So I did a practice painting for this. I tried to swatch some colors first. Or sometimes I just practice some elements of paintings. And yeah, this is my sketchbook that I use for color tests and painting tests. I'm going to start a new page and work on our mixes. Okay, I wrote down the name of the color that I want to recreate. I'm going to swatch it as its original form, just to have an idea of what the color I want to achieve is. According to my plan, I thought that I could, where is it? Recreate Buff Titanium from Daniel Smith using the Van Gogh Buff Titanium with Tiger's Eye Genuine or Raw Umber. So I'm going to put a little bit of Van Gogh Buff Titanium on my plate and some Raw Umber. It's not very pigmented. Let me just add a bit more. Sorry about the noise my chair makes. So I can see it's a bit too cold. Maybe I can add a bit of warm yellow in the mix. Oh, that's a lot. So this is pretty similar. But I kind of like the convenience of having Daniel Smith buff titanium. It's so different, so I might include it in my mix because I really like it. But I think we did a mix that is pretty similar to the original color here. I'm going to try to add just a touch more of raw umber. No, this is too much. I think the first mix that we did here was pretty good. Maybe it's a bit too yellow. No, I had another idea that I wanted to try, which was to add a little bit of Tiger's Eye Genuine to my Van Gogh buff titanium. So let's try that. So it's too gray. Yeah, I think that's what happens when you mix Van Gogh buff titanium. Since it's an opaque color, I think it tends to easily become gray. Let's add a tiny bit of yellow in the mix. It's not bad, but it's not the same. So the conclusion of this is that I'm going to add Van Gogh buff titanium to my palette because it's not easy to recreate it. I can do something that is similar but not exactly the same, and I like this buff titanium too much. I use it a lot. I'm just gonna put it in. Yeah, so one mix done. Let's cross it out of the list. Let's try Forest Blue from Schmincke, because this could be a really cool mix to create. Let's just swatch the original color. So it is made of cerulean and lunar black. So let's add a little bit of lunar black to our cerulean right here. So as I thought, I think it's going to be too blue. So I think we should add a little bit of yellow in it just to bring it a bit more on the green side. So I think I'm going to add a cool yellow. So Azo yellow. Oh, that's pretty good. See, it's pretty similar. Yeah, I like it. Maybe if I add a tiny bit more blue. I think this one is pretty similar. I think it just needs a bit more black in it. I think we have everything that we need to create a color that is similar enough. Now I'm mixing directly on my paper, so maybe it's not the best idea. It's just I couldn't resist. I'm going to try to recreate it in my palette. Yeah, I think we have everything we need to create something that is close enough. So I don't need to add Forest Blue in my palette. So this one is done. Let's just write what we did. This is... So I put you a little bit closer so you can see. So I think this is close enough. And if I wanted to, I could spend a little bit more time on it to create this. Now let's try to create Schmincke Horadam Desert Green. So I think we should create a green first and then add a little bit of transparent red oxide. We could just add some yellow to our cerulean. Okay, and now let's add some transparent red oxide and see what we get. Yeah, I don't know if the color separates enough. It's a really pretty color though, but I'm not sure if we're gonna get some color separation like I would have liked. I guess we're gonna have to wait until it dries, but still, this is not exactly the same color. It's a very pretty color though. Yeah, I think maybe desert green is too much of a challenge for me. Okay, so good to know. We're gonna add desert green to our palette because it's very hard to recreate. I think also that this one looks like Shire Blue. See? Shire Blue is this one. I think we created something similar. So depending on the amount of black that we put in, we can create something darker that's a bit more like this. Or if we put less black, more blue, we can create something like this, which is more like Shire Blue. So I think we shouldn't put Shire Blue in there because we can recreate it quite well. Okay, so for sap green, I thought I could mix green gold and cerulean or another kind of blue. So depending on the result we get, maybe we'll do something different. Not too far. So this one is a bit more muted than these. So maybe if I add an orange or something that could neutralize it a little bit, but just a touch. So I'm gonna add a tiny bit of quinacridone sienna. Oh, I think that was too much. I added a bit more blue. I think it's not too bad, but I would like to try the other mixes. So I had green gold with phthalo blue. Let's see what happens when we try that mix. Oh, that's a nice color, but I think it needs to be muted a little bit. So let's do the same thing and add just a touch of quinacridone sienna. Okay, and now let's try green gold with Identron blue, which is my warm blue that I'm going to include in my palette. Oh, you didn't see. Here. This is a mix using green gold and Identron blue. This is the mix using green gold and phthalo blue, which is too intense, but a very nice color nonetheless. It's just not the color we were looking for. And this one is the mix of green gold with cerulean, which is quite good too. So I think we're just gonna wait for them to dry and see what is closer to sap green. Maybe we won't need to include sap green, but I like that color. So we'll see, we'll think about it. Okay, now let's do an easy one. I was thinking that we could try to recreate burgundy yellow ochre if we take Winsor & Newton yellow ochre, but we just dilute it a little bit. Or if it doesn't work that well, maybe we can add a little bit of yellow ochre to Daniel Smith Buff Titanium. So we have two options. But technically this burgundy yellow ochre and Winsor & Newton yellow ochre is the same pigment. So probably they've been treated in a different way. So we'll see. We'll see what we can do. Now we're gonna try to use Winsor & Newton yellow ochre and dilute it, which is similar but not brown enough. So I'm thinking, instead of doing what I said I would do earlier, maybe I could just add a little bit of raw umber in there just to see, because I think we need to darken it up. I think it would help. I think this color is really close. Okay. Oh. So here is what we did. Let me zoom you out. So this here is the original burgundy yellow ochre. This was just the Winsor Newton yellow ochre but diluted. This is 4 colors where we added some raw umber, and I think that like these, they're very similar. You just play with the ratios of yellow ochre and raw umber and you can get something really close to our burgundy yellow ochre. So I think burgundy yellow ochre will not go in, but we will put in Winsor Newton yellow ochre instead. Okay, now we're gonna mix, well, we're gonna try to mix Schmincke Hordem Tundra Blue. This is the original color right here. And for this mix, I was thinking of using Identron Blue with some cerulean and some raw umber. We'll see, we'll see. It's gonna be very interesting. So let's start with some Identron Blue in the plate. Maybe I'm just gonna mix it right away with raw umber, see what happens. Maybe it's going to be a bit of a simpler mix, which would be great. Okay, so this is Identron Blue and raw umber, which is not too bad. Maybe if I add a little bit more Identron Blue. Really, it's not bad at all. Now I'm just doing a couple of mixes with more or less of each color just to see what I can get. So I think this is going to be too brown, but still, what a pretty color. I can work with this. So far, raw umber is a color that I've used in a lot of these mixes. It's a color that I didn't have a couple of weeks ago. I bought it recently for this palette, and I'm so glad I did because I feel like it's going to be a staple for mixing for me. See this? This is pretty close. Okay, so let's just try adding cerulean blue in here just to see what happens. I don't think it's gonna be necessary to get the color we want, but still it's gonna be interesting. Cerulean blue is also a newish color for me, and it's a color that I've used a lot in my mixes. I'm just going to do another row underneath. It's a bit too, like it's not warm enough. So let's add a bit more raw umber to this mix. Yeah, it's not the same color, so I think we can do this mix without the cerulean blue, using just Identron Blue and raw umber, and we've still created some really pretty mixes here. So I'm gonna write everything down. And of course we have to let it dry, because what I've noticed with these granulating color, sometimes we have some color separation and you really see the extent of the separation and the real colors when they're dried. I would like to do this one with Identron Blue and add a little bit of phthalo blue just to see, because I can see now that it's drying that the blue that we get here is a bit more vibrant than what we have here. So let's try. So we're gonna put a bit of Identron Blue, a bit of phthalo blue, this is vibrant, and a little bit of raw umber. Maybe it's too on the green side, which would be phthalo blue's fault. Okay, but let's add more Identron then. And a bit more raw umber. So I think that adding the phthalo blue was not the solution. Maybe, we'll see when it dries, but I don't think it's the solution, but I think that we can get some really pretty colors, some amazing blues with this. Okay, now we're gonna try to replicate Schmincke Hordem Deep Sea Violet. So we're first going to swatch the original paint. This is such a beautiful color with beautiful color separation too. We'll see it when it dries, but it's very beautiful. So what I was thinking is taking this same mix that we did here, but adding some Potter's Pink in there to try to bring it more on the violet side. So let's see. I think we need more Potter's Pink. Not bad, not bad. Now I'm just playing with ratio. So here I added just a little bit more Identrum blue. But we'll really have to see when it dries. But I think we're gonna get some nice color separation. Now this is a mix you'll see with a lot more Potter's Pink, which I know is wrong. It's not the right color. It's not what we're looking for. But now to this, let's add more Identrum blue. So we'll wait for this to dry, but I think we have something that could be close enough. Okay, there's something else that I noticed. Look at this one. This is Deep Sea Violet. And now look at this one. This is Tundra Violet. These are pretty similar. This one and this one. I think the main difference is this one is a bit more blue and this one is a bit more violet. But I think that with the mix I just did, we could maybe, if I add a bit more blue, then I get this color. And if I add a bit more Potter's Pink, then I would get more of this color. We'll wait for this mix to dry, but we'll see. Maybe with this mix, we can create these two and then free up some space in our palette. Okay, now let's try Schminke Hordem Tundra Pink. So we're gonna swatch the original color. It's so pretty. For this mix, I thought that I could mix Identrum blue and Potter's Pink, but we'll put way more Potter's Pink than Identrum blue. So let's try to create a mix. Okay, let's try this. I think it needs more blue in there. Oh, I think I put too much. See, that's too much. Let's put more Potter's Pink. Let's try this mix. So far it looks pretty close, but with these colors, it's always when they dry that we can really tell for sure. Let's add a bit more blue. And we're just playing with ratios now. I would like to add just a little bit of quinacridone rose to bring it even more on the pink side. Ooh, that's good, I think. That's what it was missing. It wasn't pink enough. So I think we're gonna wait for this to dry and then we'll be able to tell for sure if we found a good match or not. Okay, now we're gonna try to replicate Daniel Smith Lunar Violet. And for this, I was thinking of mixing Lunar Black with quinacridone rose and Identrum blue. Let's see. Let's add maybe a bit more blue. Oh, that's too blue. Okay, so we'll add a bit more pink in there. Maybe a touch more black. This mix looks pretty similar. So I think we have some really good options. We're gonna wait for it to dry, but I think I really like this one. Maybe when I look at it now, it's a bit too violet. So let's try it, but instead of putting pink, we're gonna add some Potter's Pink. This is not too bad. Let's add a bit of pink in there. Okay, we're gonna wait for all of this to dry and then we'll see. Okay, on to the next page. Next color I thought we could try to mix is burnt yellow ochre. I thought maybe I could get this color using a mix of these two, transparent red oxide and potter's pink, because I feel like this one has a little bit more of a pink undertone than this one. So I think we can get to something close. So we'll see. We're just gonna swatch the original first. So now we're gonna mix transparent red oxide with potter's pink. So yeah, this one is pretty warm. So let's add some potter's pink in the mix. I think it's still too warm. Okay, I think this is too brown, so I'm gonna add even more potter's pink and add a touch of this color that we created in the potter's pink. But still, I think it might be too brown. What if I dilute it? Yeah, it's missing something. What could we add? Can we add a little bit of pink in there? Let's try. Oh, this is quite similar. Maybe a bit too pink now. It's hard to say with this lighting. You really need to wait for the colors to dry, because I've been looking at some of the colors we mixed yesterday. And yeah, because today is the next day. And I realized that there was some colors yesterday that I thought were a pretty close match. And now I realize it's close, but it's not the same. So I'm wondering, should I still add the original colors to the palette or not? This is something we're gonna decide at the end when we're finished swatching everything. But I feel like we can get something that is pretty close. Maybe we need to neutralize it a little bit. So let's add a touch of green. What if we add green gold? I know it's weird, but I really want to try it. Yeah, that's too much. Or if I add a bit of phthalo blue, just a little bit. Okay, I mean, I think we can get something pretty close. I'm just gonna write down all the mixes I did now because I kind of did a lot and I don't want to forget them. Okay, now we're gonna try to mix Tiger's Eye Genuine. And for this one, I thought we could use either raw umber, but in a diluted form to get this one, or raw umber and a little bit of Daniel Smith Buff Titanium. We'll see. We'll try both mixes. I remember this color as a color that's pretty hard to re-wet. It's very transparent too. Okay, so let's just dilute some raw umber. Pretty close, right there. I feel like this raw umber might be a bit warmer than Tiger's Eye. Yeah, so I like this color. Maybe it's a bit too warm, but it's very close. So what if I mix some raw umber with just maybe a little bit of phthalo blue? So it's less warm a bit more muted. I think it's maybe a bit too blue now. Let's add a bit more raw umber to the mix to bring back some warmth. And play with different ratios of blue and of warmth and coolness. I think this is pretty close. So now I wanted to try to mix Daniel Smith Buff Titanium and a bit of raw umber. So now I'm adding a bit more raw umber until I get a mix that I am satisfied with. The only thing is that I feel like Buff Titanium is semi-opaque and Tiger Eye Genuine is transparent. So we kind of lose the transparency. Let's add a touch of blue. I don't think that's enough. Okay, so I think that these are all the mixes that I wanted to try. So now we're gonna wait for all of this to dry, well, this page, and we will revisit the mixes we've made and we'll make our final decision on which color to include in our perfect travel watercolor palette. Okay, so let's start with Buff Titanium. I was hesitating between including only one of these two. Since both have the same name, I thought they would be similar, but they're not really. This one is semi-transparent, this one is opaque. The colors are very different and I couldn't replicate this Buff Titanium exactly. This one was pretty close though. But still, I use this color a lot in my paintings, so I'm gonna include both of them, and maybe I'm going to choose one of them to put in a big pan and another one to put in a half pan. But we're gonna include the two. Then if we have a look at Forest Blue, at first when I was doing the mixes, I thought it was pretty close to this color and I was really satisfied, but then when it dried, you can really see that it is not the same color at all. None of these are close to this Forest Blue. So will I include it? Maybe, I'll see. I put a dot and an X, so it means that I'm hesitating. I'm going to think about it, see how many spaces I have left after I put all my must-have in. But what I found out is that the mix I created is really similar to Shire Blue. Can you see? Especially this one. This one and Shire Blue, it's pretty similar, and I don't use Shire Blue that much in a day-to-day painting, so I don't think I'm gonna include it because now I know how to create it. Created it using Lunar Black, Cerulean Blue, and Azo Yellow, which are three colors that are in my must-haves. So this is great. Then I tried mixing Desert Green and it didn't really work out at all. I couldn't get the color right. But I really love the mixes that I created here, especially this one, Cerulean Blue, Azo Yellow, and Transparent Red Oxide. But the color separation is so pretty. This one too, I love these two. And this one is very interesting as well. I'm glad that I have this recipe written down because now I know how to replicate these colors in the future. Then let's have a look at Sap Green, which I got pretty close, I think. I didn't get something that is like exactly the color of Sap Green. I think that, yeah, I got pretty close, but Sap Green is a color that I really like. So I decided I would include it because there's one thing that I recently realized, and it's that when I travel, I usually paint landscapes. So there's going to be trees in there, and Sap Green is a color that I find myself using a lot. So I have that to consider too. What kind of paintings am I going to create, and are the colors I'm going to include the best for this kind of painting? So I think I'm going to include Sap Green because I use it quite a lot. Now, let's have a look at the Burgundy Yellow Ochre that I was trying to replicate. I think that I got pretty close Oh, but I forgot to write what I did. Oh my god. Well, I'm going to rewatch this video and I'm going to write down what I did. But for now, I can't really comment on it because I forgot. I'm still hesitating. I think I got pretty close to this color. But I think I'm not gonna include it for now because I have other yellows that I really like. I decided that I would include Winsor & Newton Yellow Ochre. And I have a quinacridone gold that I really like. I'm not gonna include it. And if I find that I'm missing it, that I wish I had it, and like I think about it a lot when I'm painting, then I'm gonna include it because I don't plan on filling this palette up completely at first. Or maybe I will, but I can always move stuff around if I need to. So for now, we're not gonna include this one. Now let's have a look at Tundra Blue, which is this one. I think I wasn't able to recreate this color. I got pretty close color-wise, but I didn't get the same color separation and the same granulation as this one. This granulation is quite amazing, and I wasn't able to get a result that is remotely similar. So, am I going to include it? I'm going to put a dot and an X. So that means that I'm still hesitating. We'll see. We'll decide later. Then I wanted to recreate Schmincke Hardam Deep Sea Violet. This is the original color and it's quite similar to Tundra Violet too. So I put like a little swatch here as well. And I thought at first, this is another one where I thought that the color I got was really similar, but not really in the end. And what I realized, you can see that here too, is when I use Potter's Pink in my mixes, it kind of gives this cloudy effect, which I'm not very much a fan of. I feel like Tundra Pink did not mix well enough, or it's really weird what effect it does. So I don't think I got close to this color or this one. But since these two are really similar, I think I'm only going to include one of them. Because I have to remember, this is another thing that I thought about, is that when I'm home, I have all these tubes available. So if I don't put some colors in my watercolor palette, it doesn't mean that I will never be able to use them again. It's just when I'm traveling, I won't have them. So I have to decide if these colors are colors that I use a lot when I'm traveling. So when I'm mostly creating landscape. So I don't think that I need these two. They're pretty similar. I think I'm going to include Tundra Violet. I'm gonna put an X here and a dot here. And even then, I think I'm gonna put a dot and an X because I'm going to see if it's really necessary in my palette, if I have enough space for it, which I think I will. And now we can have a look at Tundra Pink. And I think that the color that I got, especially here, is pretty close. And well, there's also the thing with Potter's Pink where I did like a cloudy effect, which is a bit weird. But Tundra Pink is a color that I don't use a lot, so I'm not gonna include it. Now let's have a look at Lunar Violet. This is a color that I don't use too much either, so I was thinking that I wouldn't include it. I think color-wise, this color is pretty close, but still I added some Potter's Pink in there and I can see it because it's cloudy. If you know why Potter's Pink does that, please let me know. Is it normal? Is it mine that's defective? Or is it just something that's completely normal with it? Because I'd like to know. Knowing that I get this effect when I mix Potter's Pink, maybe I can use it to my advantage. It's just when you don't expect it, it's just weird. But I don't think I'm going to include Lunar Violet in my palette. I don't use this color too much. Next page. So we tried to replicate Burnt Yellow Ochre, which is this one. And once again, I think that I got pretty close. You can see the cloud-like effect because I used Potter's Pink again. But I think maybe I'll use a bit less of it, or I'm not sure. The cloudiness effect doesn't show through as much as with the previous colors. And since I have transparent red oxide here, and this is the burgundy yellow ochre, they're quite similar. I don't think I need the two of them, and I really like the redness of this one, so I'm gonna include this one. Oh my God. And I'm not gonna include burgundy yellow ochre. And finally, we have Tiger's Eye Genuine. I tried to get the same effect. The color is pretty close, but the transparency is not, the granulation is not. So I think I'm going to include Tiger's Eye Genuine because it's a color that I use a lot when I want to paint dirt, I want to paint rocks. So I'm going to include it. Okay, my friends, we have decided which colors we're going to include in the palette and which colors we won't. So I'm going to show you what my choices are, and this is what is going to conclude this video. In the next video, I'm going to talk about my palette setup. So I have decided which colors go in a full pan and which will go in a half pan, and we're gonna build the palette finally, and maybe we're gonna test it out. But let's go through round one. Round one, which was the primary colors. Obviously, I'm going to include all of them, and I already talked about the buff titanium situation, so let's move on. Then we have round two, the earth tones and convenience colors that I was pretty sure I would use, and I'm going to use all of them except burgundy yellow ochre and shire blue. Forest blue, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna use it unless I find out that I really have no spot for it, but I doubt it. And then round three, convenience 2. So these are the convenience colors that I wasn't sure I would use. So I'm not going to use burgundy yellow ochre. I'm going to use sap green. I decided to choose between rare green earth and zoisite genuine. So I chose zoisite genuine. I decided to choose between these two, blue apatite genuine and Mayan blue genuine. Even though they're pretty different, I chose blue apatite genuine because I use it more, and also it's more light fast than Mayan blue genuine. Tundra blue, I'm pretty sure I'm going to include it. It's such a pretty blue, and I think it would be hard to replicate. I am not going to include deep sea violet because I decided to choose tundra violet instead. And I'm not going to use Tundra Rose. Then round 4, which was the colors that I was pretty sure I would not use. And I was right. I'm not going to use any of them except for Winsor and Newton Yellow Ochre. So that's it. Please let me know what you think of the color choices, if you think that I should include some of these, or if I should get other colors, like if there is any must-have that you think that I should have. Please let me know. I'm going to show you some close-ups of these, and I'm going to see you in the next video in which we're going to finalize this project. Okay, see you soon.